Well, good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. You know what you need to do. You need to hit that damn Teespring link and get you some merch 20% off with promo code SloppyJoe1 and give me a follow on X at green_Jericho. I am this close to 3,000 followers on X. Be the one who puts me over the edge. Now, you remember these migrants. Isn't it funny how they call them migrants instead of illegals? Because migrants, that gives you the thought that they're here legally. They're just migrating. They're allowed to be here. They're just moving along. They're following the seasons like a bunch of geese. You know, they're illegals. They cross into our country illegally. Ergo, they are an illegal. So these illegals have been bussed around and sent around the country to a lot of these major cities that are Democrat-run, cesspool, infected wound shitholes. Chicago is right at the top, America's shooting range. So they've had, over the last 2 years, about 43,000 illegals come to their city. And if you Google it, it'll say that Chicago has welcomed over 43,000 illegals. But of course, they don't call them illegals. So you got 43,000 illegals in the city of Chicago over the past 2 years since 2022. And Chicago has spent more than $400 million on said illegals over the last 2 years. $400 million. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jericho. For a city to spend that kind of money or any amount of money on people who should not be there, the people who should be there, the Chicagoans, the people who are fans of the Bears, they must be taken care of. But because for you to spend money on people who shouldn't be, the ones that should be, have all of the things that they need. Correct? Wrong? Chicago is overrun with violence and poor education. But let's spend a bunch of money on a bunch of sons of bitches who shouldn't be here. $400 million. That's just over $9,000 per illegal. That's over half of what they spend per student. They spend just under 18 grand on every student each year. And they're spending over $9,000 on each illegal. Now, what could they have done with that $400 million? Well, there's about 650 schools, public schools in Chicago. So that's over about $615,000 per school that they could have put into it. Desks, books, computers, paint jobs, security, all that shit. They could have gotten a lot of good things for every public school in the city of Chicago at $615,000 a pop. They have 50 closed schools in the city of Chicago. That's $800,000 per closed school they could have put into it. Look what they spend on opening up these schools for the illegals. They can't do it for the kids of Chicago. 50 schools open up, alleviating the pressure on the ones that are open now. $800,000 per school they could have spent. They got just under 12,000 police officers in the city of Chicago. They could have hired 7,000 more with that $400 million. Imagine how safe Chicago could be with 7,000 more officers on the streets. But the city of Chicago said, fuck that. Your security, your safety, your prosperity is not our concern. They spent $400 million on people who shouldn't be there. Imagine how much they could have spent to send these people back, and then take the remainder and spend it on the citizens of Chicago. Those of you who are in Chicago, who are within the sound of my voice, Where do you think they could have spent that $400 million in the city? Are there any places that need to be revamped, remodeled, painted, kept up? Are there any lots in the city of Chicago that are empty and overgrown? Any dilapidated buildings that could be either torn down or fixed, that can be used by the people of the city of Chicago? Is there anywhere in the city of Chicago where they could use more security? Maybe downtown, where they don't allow children under the age of 18 to be after 10 p.m.? Just think of the laundry list of things that the city of Chicago could have spent on the citizens of Chicago. But no. They spent it on illegals. And the bulk of that money, the $400 million that they spent in Chicago on the illegals, do you know who it went to? That's right, private organizations. It went to a bunch of private businesses to get housing and food and education and whatever else the illegals needed. Not what the Chicagoans need. You shut the fuck up. You get back to work and create the money for us to spend on these fools. It went to a bunch of private businesses. So do you think those private businesses kept strict records on what they spent it on, and every single dime went where we're supposed to go? Do you think that maybe some of these private companies were probably owned by a relative of some Chicago official? Little nepotism there. You make sure I get this contract, brother, cousin, in-law. Do you think any of that $400 million went up somebody's nose or in somebody's vein or into some side piece's chest to get bigger tits or a BBL or a fucking vacation or a house or a car or some other kind of toy? Because we see that shit all the time. When you got all this money floating around with little to no accountability, that's when people start doing dumb shit with it. Do not be surprised or shocked if in the near future you hear about some official or some private business owner who had their hands in the fucking $400 million illegal cookie jar and they were spending it on bullshit, flat screens and lobster tails. And here you are in the city of Chicago, you gotta damn near suck somebody's dick to get a CCW to protect yourselves from the savages. But they got the money to give to a bunch of people who were never invited. Just that alone, just protection alone. Wouldn't it be nice if you're a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen of the city of Chicago and the city says, hey, here's some free ammunition. Here's a free firearm. Here's a year's worth of training. We're going to turn you into John Wick. You're going to be out there, pew, pew, pew. You're going to be well armed and even better trained. Wouldn't that be nice? Well, that shit ain't going to happen because they don't have the money for that. They don't have the money for law enforcement. They don't have the money for infrastructure, but they have the money to give to a bunch of private businesses to take care of people that shouldn't be here. Those people are getting everything but foot rubs and hand jobs on your dime, and maybe they are. I love the city of Chicago. They rub my tired feet and stroke my dick. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they keep blowing $400 million. Subscribe, hit that notification bell, because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Utilize the Linktree link, hit the Teespring link, and get 20% off all my merch. Promo code SloppyJoe1, and please give me a follow on X at @green_Jericho. I am Jericho Green, and man, I'm out.